There are so many words I want to say. I don't know exactly how to say them. Hey guys, John Jr. here, bringing you guys BBR semifinals against Aimel. This is our team builder. If you guys want to skip this, that is completely fine. The match will be up tomorrow, and we're playing my boy Aimel. I said in the BBR playoff predictions that out of anybody in this league who I wanted to play in playoffs, it was Aimel, and that's because I think this is probably one of our best matchups. Aimel's team's not very good. He's one hell of a player, but also he's got a really poor team. I think 27 points left. So there's a lot of not great Pokemon on his team. That being said, we have played Aimel once. If you want to check out that match before you check out this team builder, or maybe even after the team builder, it should be in the top right hand corner. And then if you want to check out Aimel's team last time and my team last time, both of which will be down in the description below, as well as the team that I am bringing this time, I recommend you wait to see what I am bringing, me explain it, and then you check out the current paste. I love Aimel to death. Usually I would talk a lot of mess to my opponent if it's a friend, because I like to get in their head. It's like a little mental war between people like me and Owen or me and J Bear. It's like a little mental war. And you got to get that win a little bit early before the match starts. But to Aimel, I love Aimel to death, man. He's the most wholesome person in the world. I have not done that because I would not talk down on Aimel's name. So we're going into this straight matchup. I didn't really need to mention all that, but Aimel's team, little refresher for those of you that do not remember. His team consists of Terra Dragonite, Terra Flying, and Terra Normal. He's got the Scizor, the Hisuian Zoroark, Tauros Paldea Water, the Florges, the Rotom Fan, the Toedscruel, the Skuntank, the Ice-Q, the Armarouge, and who could forget the Lechonk. As for the breakdown, this time it's going to go a little bit different than before. I'm not going to start with my thoughts on Aimel's team. I'm actually going to start with my thoughts on the team that Aimel brought last time versus the team that I brought last time. So I've got Aimel's team right here. At least he didn't give me the pace, so I do have what I could gather from his video. He had the Skuntank, the Dragonite, the Toedscruel, the Scizor, the Florges, and the Zoroark. His Skuntank was Black Sludge, it was max speed, he had Dark Pulse, Toxic Spike, Sludge Bomb, and Nasty Plot, which we actually did not get to see in the match, but he did have Nasty Plot. He had Dragonites, and he was Boost, Roost, E-Speed, Thunder Punch, and he did have Earthquake, which I was very curious of in the actual battle. He had Toedscruel with Leftovers, Rapid Spin, Spikes, Knockoff, and Earth Power, hard walled by Kilowattrel. We get Kilowattrel in on this pretty freely every single time. He had the Scizor, which was Fizz Def. We can only assume there to take a hit from the Chien Pow, assuming we were not banded. And then he had Bullet Punch, U-Turn, Thief, and Aerial Ace, just a 4-attack Scizor. He was Rocky Helmet, I don't know if I said that. And then he had the Florges, he was Scarf, which caught me off guard, Baton Pass, Moonblast, Copycat, and Wish. And then he had his Hisuian Zoroark, and he was Life Orb, Sub, Shadow Ball, Hyper Voice, and his last move was Shadow Sneak, which I expect to be Focus Blast this time. This is one of those reasons why I really don't like matchups, especially those in which I won the previous time, because it's very hard to pinpoint what I think Aimel is going to bring, if he's going to bring a completely different team or what the case may be. As far as the Pokemon that I think Aimel has to bring, I think he has to bring Dragonite, I think he has to bring Scizor, I think he has to bring Hisuian Zoroark, and he has to bring Toedscruel. The last two slots are really up in the air. Before we go any further, I do want to say this is the second mock I have received all season. I did one mock with my friend Box. He is in my front office, and I really appreciate him. He built 3 teams that Aimel could bring, and it gave me a lot of insight to potential sets that Aimel could bring. Back to the Pokemon. So the last 2 slots, I think Tauros Paldea Water makes a lot of sense. Probably an AV set comes this time due to how overwhelming our Specskull Dingo was last time. And then the last slot, he could bring Florges, he could bring Screens Rotom, he could bring Skuntank if he's scared of Toxic Spikes, and he could bring Armarouge. A lot of people were telling me how badly Armarouge beat down my team last time, but one thing you guys forget is weak armor is only procced by physical moves, and with the team I brought last time, the only mon that really ever had to worry about that was Cyclizar, but we had Dragon Tail, so that wasn't really that big of a deal, and we were also Dragon Tail, so he could come in on a spin, and then we could just Dragon Tail him out, and we would be okay. So I think those last 2 slots are really up in the air. As for the other Pokemon, Dragonite, the Dragonite he brought last time did not do well. I do not think he brings that same Dragonite again. I really just don't see it coming. He was Thunder Punch, Earthquake, he was just Roost 3 attacks. He was Roost 3 attacks basically. And I said in my video, I highly anticipated a mixed Dragonite, and I thought about it a whole lot. I think there's 3 different Dragonites that could come. I think there's a mixed Dragonite with Roost, Dragon Dance, Thunder, and Extreme Speed, with Terra Normal. and I think that does really, really well into us, but Gholdengo has the potential to beat that Pokemon. But Dragon Dance plus Roost is kind of annoying for us to deal with. The only problem is his last two moves are very limited, because if he has Thunder, he can hit the Dondozo, but he doesn't break a lot of other Pokemon. He has a potential to miss, and then Gholdengo can beat him, but if he has Earthquake, then Dondozo always beats him. So it's a little bit of what moves he wants to bring. He can again be Roost 3 attack, again, he could be special, he could replace Thunder Punch with simply Thunder, and that set is golden. And then I think Bandit also has the possibility to come again. I think Terra Normal comes in most instances. I have a hard time seeing no Terra Normal just because of Chien-Pao. I think Chien-Pao puts on a lot of pressure, and E-Speed mitigates that in some fashion. And it's really going to be a battle of finding out what type of Dragonite he is, because if he's just Dragon Dance 3 attacks or Roost 3 attacks, our Dondozo can beat it pretty handedly, at least as far as he remembers from the previous game. So as far as Scizor goes, I do expect more of an offensive Scizor this game. I don't think defensive Scizor does that well into me. It's a very slow Pokemon. Bullet Punch does great for it, but if he's no attack investment, that doesn't really matter. So I think he is going to be some form of offensive Scizor, offensive with just U-turn Bullet Punch. The filler move really, really does a number to my team, and I think that is a high possibility. Maybe even he's Chesto, excuse me, and he has some sort of recovery that way. I'm not sure. And then Hisuian Zoroark is an interesting one, because that mon really just on paper absolutely destroys me. I revealed my entire hand last time, my AV Cyclizar, so he knows what to expect. The cool thing with Zoroark in this matchup is I really have a hard time seeing it be choiced, because if he's choiced into Hyper Voice, yes, he can 2-hit KO most AV Cyclizars, but then we just go hard into Gholdengo. Or if he goes Shadow Ball, yes, he's going to get a KO on something, but then we can just go into Cyclizar. Or if he's Focus Blast, we go into Gholdengo and revenge him. So I have a hard time seeing him be choiced. I do think Life Orb's probably the move, and I don't think he's going to be modest this time. I think he's going to be max speed, because last time I aggressively sped crept him. I really aggressively sped crept him, and I think it paid off. I ended up outspeeding him with my Kilowattrel, if I do remember correctly, with the set that he ended up bringing. I don't think he's going to let that happen again, so I think he is going to be max speed timid, just simply max on the Zoroark. He could just be Life Orb for attacks, replacing the sub of last time with Focus Blast. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. Code Scroll is a weird one, because I do think that it does fine into the matchup. I guess it's just the simple fact that he needs a spinner, because I have a Glimmora, so that's going to be a little bit interesting to see what set he brings on that, if at all, because he might just say, F it, I'm not going to bring this Pokemon. My Scizor doesn't care about T-Spikes, my Dragonite doesn't care about T-Spikes. If I put Boots on Zoroark, it doesn't care about T-Spikes. Toedscroll does not great, other than just the fact that it provides spin, as well as potentially gives us some spikes on his side of the field, so he might just leave it at home. But if he does bring it, it's going to be some sort of rapid spin set. I don't know what else to expect. Maybe some sort of Leaf Storm eject pack, or eject pack is something that we could see. And then the last two slots, like I said, there's a lot of different options. I think AV on the Tauros makes a whole lot of sense. I think maybe he's Specs Florges this time, or just simply Wish Moonblast. I don't know, man. I think the Fizdef Florges makes a whole lot of sense. I think he could be Fizdef with a Rocky Helmet, and that really helps him mitigate the Chien-Pao. I think Screens Rotom Fan makes a lot of sense. I think Screens Rotom Fan is something that we could definitely see. That's a Pokemon that we have a really tough time OHKOing other than Glimmora and Chien-Pao. And the Pokemon that we have to check it does not actually OHKO it in any fashion. It is Kilowattrel, obviously. So I think Screens makes a whole lot of sense with the Rotom. Skuntank, I'm not sure what to expect if he brings it. Maybe he's going to be the Herb Dig set this time. I'm not entirely sure. Ice-Cube I don't see ever coming. Lechonk I don't see ever coming. And then Armarouge is weird because it has a bunch of good different sets. It could be Scarf, it could be Endure, with weak armor, but I really don't think Endure does well into us. It could be Trick Room. Trick Room does pretty well. There's a lot of different good sets that Armarouge has. The only problem is its middling speed tier is horrendous. It kind of forces a Scarf, and if he's Scarf, we have Mons to play around whatever move he wants to lock into. So it's weird. Armarouge is a really weird matchup. Could it come? Absolutely, but I think that it's very difficult for it to come in this matchup. As for the Pokemon we're bringing, I said in a recent prediction that I'm obviously not going to bring the same team. I'm a liar. I think we showed pretty much our best hand when we played Aimel last time. This is one of the reasons that I hate rematches, because when I do well in a match, I feel like I brought maybe some of the best team I can. We do have some minor changes, but the 6 Pokemon that we are bringing are going to be the same. The first Pokemon is going to be Sneaky the Chien-Pao. We are Black Glasses this time as opposed to the Choice Band, just because I do feel like Spike Stack is not our primary means of winning anymore, and I like having Adamant Psychic Fangs on top of the Terra Dark Crunch when the Tauros switches in, if it does switch in on top of, I like Psychic Fangs in general to break screens from a potential Rotom. Terra Dark Crunch is about all we need in this matchup, man. I'm going to be honest with you guys, the only things that he has that switch into it are the Tauros, Paldea, Water, and the Florges. We have Sucker Punch for a potential Banded Scizor if he is that, otherwise a choiced Zoroark as well, a choice Scarf Zoroark. Other than that, we don't really need Sucker Punch, maybe a Scarf Armorous as well. Basically anything that is potentially choiced into a move that we need to outspeed and KO. We have Psychic Fangs again for the Tauros as well as to break screens. And then I went Shard over Icicle Crash. Icicle Crash would have made definite sense for the potential defensive Florges to pick off a KO from that. But I decided to go Shard because I am a little paranoid of the Endure Armor Rouge, and if he is Endure Calm Mind 2 attacks, which I think does pretty bad into us, but if he is that set, Ice Shard ensures that it never gets too out of hand, especially because we are not choiced into any moves, so we don't have to have any guessing games with Sucker Punch. Hindsight, maybe I would have preferred Crash just to 2-hit KO of Florges, potentially especially after a Spike, but I think we'll be okay. Our Chi and Pao EVs are a little bit different this time. We have 188 attack adamant, 140 defense, and 180 speed. I believe we are the same speed stat as last time, just outspeeding everything on his team that we possibly can. But this time we can take a banded adamant, Terra normal, Dragonite extreme speed after a singular spike if he does get that up. So that could be clutch in the late game when we can just crunch that Pokemon. Our next Pokemon is going to be, I think, damn near the exact same EV spread we had last time. We're going to be Goldango with Recover, Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, and Trick. We're going to be Specs again because Aimel does not have good resistances to Choice Specs Goldango. We have Make It Rain and Shadow Ball, which do very well, and we have Recover, which is a little weird at first glance, but we have Trick this time. I highly anticipate the Tauros to come in. I highly anticipate the Tauros to come in on our Goldango, and if it does, we can trick it the potential Choice Specs. Otherwise, his potential switch in is the Scizor, and switching the Choice Specs onto that Pokemon is going to be fantastic. So while we might not click Trick depending on the 6 Pokemon that Aimel brings, once we find out what his switch into this Pokemon is, it could totally be a possibility. I also simply just like Specs because last time it simply broke. I think it'll do a very similar thing as last time because Aimel just does not have great switch-ins to it. One thing I am worried about is the combination of Armor Rouge plus Hisuian Zoroark, making it a little difficult to lock into a move at times, so we might not be able to use this Pokemon early if we see the Armor Rouge plus the Hisuian Zoroark. Our Goldango EVs, like I said, I think they're the same as last time. 32 HP, 252 special attack, and 224 speed timid. Enough speed to outspeed the Dragonite, max special attack, the rest in HP. I almost opted for a bulkier Goldango, but I just didn't like the damage rolls with a bulkier Goldango. I think offensive Goldango really goes in here and is really gonna do Aimel dirty again, hopefully. Next up, again, the exact same EV spread. We are Dozy, the Dondozo, Rest, Sleep, Talk. This time, Avalanche over Yawn and Body Press. I do actually, while I'm thinking about it, want to make a little note of the Yawn situation last time. Everybody was freaking out saying I almost threw because of Sleep Clause. Everyone forgot I just didn't click Sleep Talk if he fell asleep. There was never a situation where I felt like I had to click Sleep Talk in that situation to win the game. I feel like I pretty handedly took care of things by just sleeping and not clicking Sleep Talk. I think that I was okay last time, so that's not why I'm switching off Yawn. I'm switching off of Yawn because of a Pokemon we'll talk about in a little bit, but I expect status to get thrown around. I also think Avalanche is a little bit better in case he is some sort of Terra Flying Dragonite. Last time I had no potential way to hit that, so if he was Terra Flying Dragonite, we were actually in a lot of trouble. This time we're not so much. We have Avalanche to potentially hit that Pokemon. We are leftovers, and our EV spread is 248 HP, 212 defense with an impish nature, and 48 special defense. We can take 2 max modest Dragonite Terra Blast Flyings and then the rest into physical defense. This helps us with the Scizor, with the Dragonite, and even with the Tauros, Paldea, Water. Next up, another set similar to last time. I'm so sorry, guys. Like I said, I do think the team that we brought last time was very good, and Aimel was going to have a very tough time beating it. I just did some minor tweaks in order to make this team fine-tuned. Cyclizar, Assault Vest, here for the Hisuian Zoroark, U-Turn, Knockoff, Rapid Spin, and Dragon Tail. I told you guys I think that he is going to be a max Hisuian Zoroark this time, so our changes are going to reflect that. We are 96 HP, 4 attack, 240 special defense, and 168 speed timid. This Pokemon is here for the Hisuian Zoroark. We can easily tell if that Pokemon is Scarf, Life Orb, Specs based on damage, and we can pivot around it accordingly. And Cyclizar is awesome because we have Regenerator to be able to live whatever hit it it wants to go for. The problem with this Pokemon is if he is Specs, we do not take 2 Hyper Voices. But if he is Specs, we can obviously pivot into either Glimmora or Gholdengo, however we are feeling, to potentially get some momentum on that Pokemon. This time we do actually outspeed the max Hisuian Zoroark, and then we can take 2 Hyper Voices from a Life Orb Zoroark, because I do think that is the most likely set, and then we went the rest into attack. I say the rest, but it's really only 4. U-Turn is here for momentum, but U-Turn is a little scary because of that potential Armor Rouge coming in. Knockoff is here because it does tons of damage to the Zoroark and prevents him from 2-hit KOing us if he is slower. Rapid Spin is here because spikes exist, and then Dragon Tail is here to prevent setup on the Dragonite, on the Scizor, on the Armor Rouge. Dragon Tail is actually very important. I looked for a while to see if Dragon Tail was needed or if I could switch it to like Overheat or something cool like that, but ultimately I decided Dragon Tail was going to be our best bet. Next up, again, we have the same Pokemon, but this set is entirely different than the last set. We have Shimmy, the Glimmora with Black Sludge, and this time we are Corrosion, Spiky Shield, Toxic, Spikes, and Sludge Wave. We are Mono Sludge Wave because Scizor obviously is not going to enjoy Toxic plus Spiky Shield, especially if he's the 4 attack set that he was last time. We're going to rack up a total of 30% with Spiky Shield plus 2 turns of Toxic on that Pokemon. So that's fantastic. That's massive chip, especially if we have a Spike Up. Glimmora in the one mock that I did was very difficult to get into a position to set up a Spike, set up a Toxic, but if he does bring the Florges, we can pretty much guarantee switch in on the Florges, and as long as he does not Baton Pass, we throw off a Toxic on whatever wants to come in. And this is why we are not Thunder Wave on Gholdengo, and this is why we are not Yawn on the Dondozo, because I expect us to be able to spread Toxics. And then Sludge Wave hits everything for fantastic damage except the Zoroark and except for the Scizor. Scizor I'm not worried about, we can Toxic that down, and then Sludge Wave breaks a Hisuian Zoroark sub, so I'm not too worried about that. We have an awesome EV spread this time, 24 HP, 20 defense, 48 special attack, 208 split def, and then 208 speed timid. We have enough speed to outspeed that Dragonite guaranteed. We can take 2 Shadow Balls from a Modest Zoroark, non-boosting Zoroark. 20 defense lets us live 2 Dragonite E-speeds after rocks if they are Adamant Banded, and then we put the remaining 48 into special attack. This set is awesome. I really like this set. I do think that if he does not bring the Florges, or the Skuntank, this Pokemon is very difficult to get in a position to get a Toxic off or get a Spike up, and it does become our least valuable member. But again, if Dragonite is banded, this Pokemon is actually very, very valuable. And then lastly, would it be a team without Kilowattrel? You guys love Kilowattrel. You guys go crazy for this Pokemon, and it is going to come with a very unique set this week. We are kind of similar to last time. We are 3 of the 4 same moves, but we're a different item and a different 4th move. We are Roost, Volt Switch, and Hurricane. Volt Switch for momentum, his ground type is Toedscruel. Obviously we have Hurricane for that, and that sends that packing. We are not Safety Goggles this time because he was not Spore last time, and I do not anticipate him to be Spore after seeing that we were Safety Goggles last time. I just don't think that makes sense. I think if anything, you would go some move to be able to hit Kilowattrel for any amount of damage. But we are last slot Endure with the Rocky Helmet. This is to guarantee that the Dragonite, no matter what, is out of multi-scale if we have to sack this Pokemon, or to easily switch in on the Scizor and get massive damage on it. Obviously, Endure also helps with the potential Toxic Pokemon. We can Endure, and it takes Rocky Helmet if it's a physical mon, plus the Toxic from Glimmora if it is Toxic. So I really like this set. I debated back and forth on a couple of different items. I also had Chelan for a minute. I had Magnet, and then Thunderbolt last slot. There were a lot of different options, but this is ultimately what I think might win us the game. We are once again Volt Absorb for the potential Rotom fan, because otherwise we don't deal with it the best. We can go into Cyclizar, but other than that, not really. Kilowattrel is once again going to be my guaranteed lead Pokemon. It matches up well in pretty much everything except a banded Terra Normal ESP Dragonite, which I don't really see him leading. We are 8 HP, 116 defense, 80 special attack, 160 defense, and 136 speed timid. This allows us to outspeed a max speed Hisuian Zoroark, which I do again expect that he is going to bring. If you guys forgot from me mentioning it the last 5 times, we can take 2 Skuntank Sludge Bombs, and then we can take 2 Scizor Bullet Punches if he is Adamant Band, and then the rest in special attack. This Pokemon is here to gain momentum and to break. This Pokemon does so much damage as long as we land our Hurricanes. We've been pretty unlucky with them this season so far, but Kilowattrel has still been amazing. So I'm really hoping Kilowattrel will come through here for us today. So that's going to be the team, guys. It's a very similar team to last time. The win con is once again going to be Chien-Pao. We have Gholdengo, which is going to be a breaker. Dondozo to ensure that we never lose to the Dragonite. It should be pretty much any set of a Dragonite unless he is fully special, in which case we're fine. We have other Pokemon to deal with that. like Chien Pao, for instance. We have the Cyclizar, which is here to neuter the Hisuian Zoroark. We have GLIMMORA to potentially get a spike up, make our lives a little bit easier if the Toedscroll does not come, and then of course spread Toxic, switch into the Florges, and then we have Kilowattrel to gain us some momentum and potentially make sure the Dragonite is out of multi-scale range. I like the team. I'm ready. I really think we can win. You guys loved my last match and showed so much support, and I really appreciate you guys for that, and I hope you will continue that tomorrow as we play Aimel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out Aimel. He is almost at 1,000 subscribers, and it would mean the world to me if you guys could get him there. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. And for now, guys, this has been John Jr. signing off.